Hello, dear friends. We're glad to welcome you to the live conversation on AllatRa TV. All our live conversations are made within the framework of the project The Creative Society, and this project has been launched on the platform of AllatRa International Public Movement. And it's a global and unique project for the whole humanity, and we'd like to hear everyone, actually. And it is the project where we have a goal to ask every single person around the globe how they envision the creative society where everybody is happy in every sphere of life. So, our goal is to find out what people want. And today we have a very special guest with us from the UK. But before we start, I'd like to remind our viewers that by the end of the broadcast, we will ask our guest to share a name of a person that he would like to meet in the next live broadcast. So, also, guys, please don't forget to share your vision of the creative society with us and invite your friends by sharing these videos in your social networks, adding two hashtags, hashtag creative society and hashtag AllatRaunites. So, my name is Kate, and today my co-host will be Alona. Hi, Alona, how are you doing today?
Hello, I'm very well, thank you, Kate. And now I'm going to introduce our today's guest. It's Alan Martin from England. Alan, hello, welcome.
Hello, ladies. Very good day to you both.
Thank you. So Alan is an executive coach and people development trainer. Alan Martin is helping people to become better versions of themselves and to become even more aware of their personal strengths and areas of development. So his people-centric approach has a powerful impact on individuals, helping them to discover and to reach their full potential. Alan, could you please share with us your story? What inspired you to choose this field of work? What motivated you to start this journey and to continue it?
Oh, thank you. Right, that's a big story. So, my name is Alan Martin. I'm married to Claire. I've got three lovely sons. I have Jack, who's 23, and I have twin 20-year-olds, and they are my whole life. And I was a very lucky man. So I left school and I was a banker for 30 plus years. And for the last 23, 24 years, I worked for HSBC Bank. And it's a really funny story because I was there. I absolutely love what I did, but I always felt for the first part of my time there, I was a bit of a square peg in a round hole. Something wasn't quite right. I love what I did, but I was looking for something else and I wanted it to be within the bank. And I remember coming back from lunch, it was 2006, and I had 5 missed calls and 5 emails saying to me, Alan, you need to click on this link. There's a job there and it's got your name on the top of it. And this job was a secondment to learning and development. And I'll cut a really long story short. I got this role and I always wanted within me to be a trainer, a teacher and a coach. I love the work that I was doing. I love being in charge of people, but I wanted something more, something deeper, something very linked to your goals of the creative society. I wanted to help people to become better versions of themselves. And I then, from 2006-07, probably for 8 or 9 years, traveled the world, literally everywhere from the States, Canada, Middle East, Far East, training and teaching. I probably ran over 500 classes, and I also became a coach. And I was helping people all the way through the organization, again, discover their true selves and to help them. And it was something that really empowered me and allowed me to help the people around me. And what I noticed is, irrespective of where people are in the world, people are people. And even though the media may speak about lots of different things and lots of the noise that goes on in the world, fundamentally, we are all looking for the same thing. And we're all looking for peace and joy and harmony, and to find the true wisdom and love and connection that we've all got within ourselves. And even though the stories all over the world were very different, fundamentally, what everyone was looking for was the same. And that really excited me, because it made me realize I have a very strong view that we're all linked by this collective consciousness. So this invisible thread of consciousness that links everybody in the world. And what I then noticed by all the traveling I was doing, the courses I was running, and the people I was meeting, that absolutely is true. And when you cut through the noise and you cut through all of the things that aren't really true, maybe I'll call it ego, maybe I'll call it something else, and you get to people's truths, you get to realize that fundamentally we're all looking for the same thing, which is effectively what your creative society is. So that's a bit about me. I now do coaching and I do training for individuals and for organizations. I coach senior bankers, I coach people in media, I coach people in property, lots of different areas. And I work in pharma as well. And I also work with groups of people. So I love working in groups specifically, because then you can really start to notice and sense all of the different people, the personalities, what people are looking for, what they want, what they need. And it's a beautiful thing. So I've been doing lots of that. And similar to the rest of the world, the majority of my work has gone on to Zoom and online since March. So it's been a very interesting thing to take all of the skills that I learned face to face and bring them into this new reality.
So interesting. Thank you so much. And could you please share with us what is, in your perspective, what is true happiness? Where do you find happiness, and how do you personally manage to keep this feeling throughout the day, the week, and the month, and your life in general?
There's the utopian question about, you know, what actually is happiness, and it's a very interesting thing. So what is happiness? So when you release a chemical, a little bit of serotonin, dopamine, whatever it might be, that releases this happy chemical into you that maybe might last for a couple of seconds, and then we go back to the state we were in before. So I'd like to go back before that. And for me, it's all about self. And it's all about, and it sounds a big picture, you know, linking with your creative society. You know, if you love yourself, and if you value yourself, and if you feel you are worthy, and if you feel you deserve, and it's a sense that you value every breath that you take. You wake up in the morning and you take a deep breath, and, you know, I'm alive. You know, that is a beautiful thing in itself. And we get there's so much noise, and there's so many things going on in the world. We often forget that. And we often spend our time comparing ourselves to other people. Oh, look at X, look at Y, look at Z. And social media is doing that even more now. And we need to put that aside. And we need to look a lot more within ourselves. And we need to find that love and that wisdom and that truth that's within ourselves. And when we find and can connect to that love and that truth and that wisdom, and you can start to notice that actually everything comes from within you. And for me, that's your answer to your question. Happiness starts from within. When you value and that you have that within yourself, you start to attract other areas of happiness in your life. I'm on your broadcast today from an attraction of happiness that happened to me. So I've attracted you and you've attracted me because what happens is, with the law of attraction, if you've read Rhonda Byrne, The Secret, which I'm sure you have, you know, we've all got this invisible, I spoke about the connection of the collective consciousness. We've all got this invisible signal that we all emit to the world, and we attract what we are noticing and seeing. So if we are feeling happy and we are connected to our wisdom, that is what we will attract. So when people, and I call them awfulizers, the people around the coffee machine, it's terrible, it's a disaster, the world's terrible, I can't believe this, why am I in this job, my boss doesn't like me, you know, all of these things, I call them awfulizers. We attract that because that's who we are. So when we shift our mindset and our belief to self and access our true wisdom, then that's where the happiness lives.
Amazing.
Thank you so much. It's very, very interesting. I absolutely agree that happiness comes from within. So it is inside of us, because like most of the people, we're looking for things in the outside world, thinking that something will make us happy. But no, nothing in this outside world can really truly make us happy. It's all inside of us. And I just wanted to share with you what true happiness is for me and what I have experienced. And it is when I really do something unconditionally without expecting anything back for other people. And this is really like an amazing experience when you see happy people. And because of that, basically, it makes you even happier. So I just wanted to share with you just a little bit of my experience. And also, we have prepared a collage with some of your photos. Maybe you could comment on those photos. Could you please, Alan, tell us a little bit about where have you been? What have you been doing there?
Wow, there's three
What are these pictures? Yeah.
very, very interesting pictures. So the top picture, I am with two eminent gentlemen. The gentleman on my left is called Ziggy Schipper, and he was in Auschwitz concentration camp. And every year for the last 10, 11 years, I've done Holocaust education for schools. So we run it every year, and we have a whole lot of different schools that come in, and we do a workshop. And then we have a really incredible survivor that comes in, and Ziggy is early 90s, a truly incredible human being, and survived the horrors of Auschwitz. And I have to say, doing that work every year and being involved in some other ways as well, teaching the world about what happened is a very important thing, because it's really important for all of us as humans on the other side of happiness, which makes us who we are. You know, sadness. Every coin has two sides, and it's important for all of us. Yes, happiness is important, but sadness is important as well, as well as, you know, good, evil, whatever it might be, joy and pain. And I think to be complete as humans and to know all of ourselves as a whole is really important. So I want to mention David Oliver, who's the other gentleman who's next to me, who is another gentleman who does the training with us. And yes, it's a truly inspiring thing. The picture bottom left, I was doing some training for a wonderful property company last year called JM2. And that's run by an old colleague of mine from HSBC, a really wonderful company. And I was doing some training for them, for their team. And the other picture was when I worked at HSBC. I was doing, that was one of my day courses in Malaysia. I had the honor, 2007, 8, 9, 10, probably all the way to 14. I probably went to Malaysia 30 times, probably more, for 2-3 weeks at a time. And I used to train and teach all of the staff there, and we became incredible friends, truly beautiful humans with values oozing from every pore. And I used to go there for 2 weeks and teach I used to teach 13, 14 different courses when I worked in the bank, and I used to go there, and it was fascinating because when you are in Malaysia, I used to teach in London hours. So I used to teach from 4 p.m. to midnight when I was in Malaysia, which was 9 to 5 in the UK. So, and then we used to go out on the town and have fun and enjoy ourselves. And I lived this sort of Australian lifestyle when I was there. And as I said at the beginning in the introduction, people are people, and the humbleness and the values and the way I was treated when I was there, it's something that stayed with me all of my life. And it was a beautiful thing because not everyone was so affluent, and irrespective of, especially in the Far East, and some of the other places that I went to, I weren't so affluent. And a lot of people, I went as well to Soweto when I was in South Africa. So I had a visit to Soweto, which you'll know is the township there. And people were living literally in corrugated iron houses. And you walked in there and they had these incredible smiles on their faces. And the children were playing outside with these. They made me so welcome. And it just shows you that it isn't the material things of our lives that make us happy. It's never the what. It's always the why. And as long as the why is true, and the why is wisdom and love and truth and connection, wherever you are in the world, that is the creative society that I sense that you're looking to create.
Thank you so much for sharing this, lovely information with us. And today, throughout our conversation, we're always mentioning the Creative Society project. And also, I would like to ask you another question. Could you please share with us how do you envision a creative society where all people all over the world are happy in all spheres of life and live comfortably as well? Because just like you mentioned, the Africa, the situation where people live in right now, it has to be changed. So could you please share your vision of the creative society with us and our viewers?
Yeah, thank you so much. I've alluded to some of this already through. I've made an effort to weave this answer already in to what I've been speaking about. I didn't want to have it sort of two separate sections. So you would have noticed I was speaking about accessing our truth and our wisdom within all of us. And my view of a creative society is our ability to, I'll call it serendipity. So serendipity is the ability to notice the small miracles that happen around us all of the time. Now, I never understood that until probably maybe 7, 8, 9, 10 years ago. I don't know when something hit me, but something became aware. I always loved the sky, and I always loved the clouds, and I always loved nature, and I always loved the trees and the birds, and I didn't really understand why I love them. And for me, you wake up in the morning and you take a breath and you're breathing, and that is a miracle. And you open the curtains and you can see the sky and the blue sky, and you can hear the birds tweeting and the wind blowing, and they are all miracles. And I've always done this all of my life. And my sons, I opened talking about my wife and my sons. My sons, they all do it as well, is that you're always looking for those miracles. You're always looking at accessing, and I've said this a couple of times already, the truth and the wisdom within you. And I do a lot of work with my coaching with what I call this, the truth is in the pauses, the truth is in the silences. And in that pause I did there, which was probably only about 2 seconds, both of you, I'm sure, were thinking, where's he going here? Has he forgotten what he's going to say? Do we need to fill the pause? Because we have a culture in the world where silence and pausing, we always feel we need to fill it. And yet, the truth of our lives is in those silences and in those pauses. And in answer to your question of what I see the creative society as, it's actually all of us reconnecting with our true selves, in the ability to put the ego aside. It's always going to be there. I have the honor to know a number of humans at the moment. I'm not saying they haven't got an ego. They have. Let me tell you, it is so well hidden, you don't know it exists. They are utterly incredible. They live in the truth, the silence, the pauses. Their entire mission is to help the world and help the people around them. And they haven't got the ability, and I'm not talking about me here, by the way, that's not, I'm talking about other people. And it's a beautiful thing. So when I was reading about the creative society, that's the thing that really hit me. It's actually taking a little bit of time to slow down and to actually put the noise of the world aside, and for all of us as a collective consciousness in the universe to find the truth within us. And I think when that happens, we will see this gargantuan shift in the world where all of a sudden the noise quietens. And if you've noticed with what's happening in the world at the moment, there are less planes flying, there are less cars on the road. If you're noticing, the world has got a little bit quieter. And even though it's a challenging time, the sense that I get is that I've seen and noticed a lot of good, and people are rediscovering who they really are because they have time to do that, because the world is slowing down. So that's my answer to your question about how I see and sense the creative society.
Thank you. It is very interesting, the answer that you give. But also I have a question about social assistance and work conditions. What should they look like in order for people to grow, fully show their abilities, best qualities, and their potential? How do you see work conditions? Because you say that people need to slow down, they need more time, yeah? So how do you see that in a creative society?
It's really interesting because I loved being at school and I loved all of my studies. And what I've noticed is we start to learn the skills that we need to be able to be okay in the world and survive in the world. And a lot of those skills, specifically if I talk about myself and people around me, you seem to learn those at a slightly more advanced time of life. And I wonder if within the schooling system globally, we need to be taught a lot more of the skills of the things that I've been speaking about the skills that we need to allow us and to help us to survive and thrive in the world. The challenges that we're going to face, whether they be what's on one side, whether that be money, whether that be relationships, whether that be skills that you need to do a job, or a lot of the whys. And the whys are going to be more emotional, things that we need to be aware of in our minds, how we need to act, how we need to behave, how we need to believe, how we fundamentally need to be. And imagine a world where you had this incredible education system that was global, that taught and started to get people to think slightly differently, slightly outside the box to the current way of teaching. Because a lot of the way that people are taught at the moment are all of the what's. You'll learn about this what's, that what's, whatever the subject might be. But you don't really learn whys. Why do we do this? Why does this happen? How do I do this? And I think that would be an incredible shift. It wouldn't even take a lot to do it, because the teachers are there. They could be retrained and reskilled to add this other whole layer of training, and you could do it globally. This forum now, we can reach the entire world with this. So you can create programs that literally upskill the world in your creative society ideals. You know, the whole, you asked me about happiness, and one of the areas of happiness is how do I cope in the world? What are the fundamental skills that I need to allow me to be okay in this challenging yet wonderful world that we live in?
Thank you so much. That's, really, really interesting. And the fact that you mentioned the globality of, of the creative society, that it has to be implemented not only in single country or single community, but in the whole world. So in order to build a creative society, we all have to be united by one single goal. And the basis of this goal were described in the article, which is called The 8 Foundations of the Creative Society and the Stages of Its Construction, that has been published on the 18th of May 2020 on the website AllatRaunites.com. So, dear viewers, if you haven't done this yet, please, you're more than welcome to, visit the website and read the article, because it's very interesting. And today we'd like to make a short presentation of the 8 foundations. So right now you can see them on the screen. The first one is human life, then human freedom, human safety, transparency and openness of information for all, creative ideology, development of personality, justice and equality, and self-governing society. And Alan, could you please tell us what foundation you would like to talk about, discuss in more detail? Which one?
Now, there's a question. So the one that pops out to me is development of personality. I think that probably is the one that I'd like to speak about.
Great choice. So I'll read out the detailed information about the development of personality. So every person in the creative society has the right to comprehensive development and personal fulfillment. Education should be free and equally accessible to all, creating conditions and expanding opportunities for a human to implement his or her creative abilities and talents. So could you please share with us, Alan, what do you think about this foundation? How important is it, for our society?
I think it's absolutely critical. And as I said before, I've weaved the things I've spoken about before, weave nicely into this. I think, again, I'll repeat so people can always remember it and take it away with them. So I think it starts with self, to value, to know ourselves, to love ourselves. I think everything starts with that. And I've spoken already about from an education perspective, that I feel that if you look around the world and if you look at the opportunities that people get, dependent on both the society they live in, the country they live in, the continent they live in, their opportunities will be different. Now, imagine that you create you could easily now, with the technology that we have, create something that's global, that's accessible to all, that will give people, and I've seen all the different countries that AllatRa associates with and is involved in it. It's in an incredible number of countries. It's pretty much every country in the world. So imagine creating something multi-language that gives people at a really base level the fundamental skills they need to be okay. Now, I'll hear people saying, oh, well, that's really impossible. How would we do that? The world is so different. But I'll go back to what I said at the beginning, that when I traveled the world and met so many people, fundamentally people are people. People buy from people. People buy emotionally and justify logically. It's all about emotion. It's all about the limbic and reptilian parts of your brain where your emotion lies. And if you can tap into that at a deeper fundamental level with people and grasp people from an emotional perspective to get them on board with the journey, because it's all about emotion. You know, all the whats, I was talking about the whats and the whys, that the world peppers you with whats. I won't go into all of the different things now, but actually it's all about the why. It's all about us. It's all about us understanding ourselves, our purpose. What is it we're really looking for? What is it we really want? What is it we really need? And then educating people to actually understand the areas they need to access within themselves that are going to lead to this happiness of which you spoke. And I think that's really important. So I think, yes, the world is a huge place, 8 billion people. On the other side, the world is a very small place. And now we've noticed, especially with what's been going on with the global pandemic, really how small the world is. And actually, I'd like to turn it around, and I'd actually like to think this is actually the greatest opportunity the world has ever had to create a creative society full of love and values and wisdom and truth.
That's beautiful. And you have mentioned purpose, the purpose. We need to understand the purpose, yeah, of us being here. So maybe you could share your opinion, your idea on what is the purpose of us, of human beings being on this planet.
What a fantastic question. I'd love to ask you the question back, but you're asking me. And it's such an interesting thing. I mean, my mantra is to help people become better versions of themselves. And so I think when you get to a point where you, of all the things that I said, that you value yourself and you love yourself, and I'm not saying I always feel like that. This is something that I've taught myself to be by accessing, when I was speaking about the silences. I think it all starts with self. When you are in that position, so if I equate it from a business perspective, we all have a personal brand. And if you think about every single person that you speak to, you are leaving an impression of yourselves. So I'm getting the impression of you ladies, you are getting the impression of me from this conversation. And generally it takes 7 to 10 seconds for people to make up their minds about someone, which isn't really very long. And once you've made up your mind about somebody, that stays with them generally for their whole life. And it takes something gargantuanly enormous, that's the second time I've said gargantuan, to change it. And so in answer to your question of purpose, imagine again, all of us, that was our goal, that you meet someone and you want to leave that person in a better place than when you found them. Now imagine we all did that. And then the world overnight becomes this utopian paradise of happiness and love, because actually everyone is exuding their truth and their wisdom to everybody else. So that would be my answer to your question.
That would be a wonderful world, actually. Thank you so much.
Absolutely.
So, Alona, did you want to ask the question?
Yeah, I would like to ask another question. Yeah, about mentioning these 8 foundations. Also, I have another question. How do you think, how is it important to actually implement all of these 8 foundations in all spheres of human life for the society? How is it important?
Wow, there's a question there. I mean, as I say, I'm going to pretty much say a lot of the things that I've said before. So I think a lot of the foundations are around whats, and I think the whats are all important. And the whats come from people. And for me, it's all about how we are with other people. So I've come on your show today for the first time, and I didn't know you, and I've come on, and you treated me with respect and consideration, and you've helped me, and you've made me feel at home. And I think that the qualities that you are exuding and showing me, we replicate that throughout the universe, and then you have the answer to your question. And I think a lot of the what's, and if you look at all the things that we believe that make society tick, whether it be money, whether it be companies, whether it be properties, whether it be all the things that we think we aspire to, a bigger house, a bigger car, a yacht, for whatever people might want or need that. But fundamentally, they are not the things that make us happy. And I think it's actually taking everything back to basics and everything back to a fundamental level of humanity, and actually looking at what is the purpose of humanity on this earth. And yes, you have survive on one side and thrive on the other. And if we can find a way with love and wisdom and truth to both survive and thrive, and put our little friend, the ego, just a little bit on the side and make him a little bit quieter, and I was working with someone a couple of weeks ago, and we put the ego in a little box, and the little box was just about there, quietly in the corner. So the ego hadn't gone away, but he'd just been put in a little box, and then all of the truth and the love and the wisdom can come out. So in answer to your question, I think that's what needs to happen. Can it happen? Absolutely, it can happen. There's absolutely nothing stopping it. The only thing that's stopping it is the belief we've created in the society that the world is. There's nothing stopping anything from happening. There are no limits to anything. The only limits that exist are the ones that we create in ourselves, and there are no limits. So there's nothing stopping the creative society from changing the entire world if you believe it can happen.
Yes, it's basically a matter of choice, personal choice of each person in the world, whether you want to be happy or not, whether you want to take care of other people, whether you want to share your love, share all those best qualities and best values that you have within yourself with others, and inspire others and be inspired by them as well. So thank you very much for your deep and very sincere understandings, and thank you for sharing it with us and our viewers. And right now, I would like to remind our viewers that we will ask you to name one person that you would like to meet in the next live broadcast. So, Alan, who would you like to nominate for the next live broadcast?
I would like to nominate a wonderful lady called Michelle Quick, and Michelle lives in Denmark. We met on LinkedIn. I've been posting, she's been posting. We've been having the most wonderful conversations, and I sense deep down that Michelle would be an incredibly wonderful addition to the creative society, and I nominate Michelle Quick.
We can't wait to see Michelle, and we're inviting you to be our co-hosts and actually, ask her all of the questions that we asked you today. And thank you so much, Alan. So thank you for today's conversation. It really was a pleasure talking to you. And for our viewers, if you want to join creative projects of the AllatRa International Public Movement, please visit our website, AllatraUnites.com, where you will see the red button and you can join us. All you need is to fill out a very short and easy form, and the volunteers of AllatRa IPM will contact you. So thank you so much, Alan. Thank you, Kate.
Yes, thank you very much,
It was a pleasure
Alan,
talking to you.
Yes,
thank you, Kate. Thank you, Aliona. Really, truthfully, it was absolutely beautiful. I had the most wonderful experience, and everyone watching, get involved. It's a fantastic society. It's a beautiful thing to want to do good for the world. And I think everyone who believes in that needs to get involved now.
Yes, thank you very much for participating and sharing your ideas with us. And we also invite everyone to join the Creative Society project. So thank you very much, Alona, as well. And we'll see you in the next live conversation on AllatRa TV. Goodbye.
Goodbye.
Goodbye.